There's an idea quietly gaining attention in some Christian and prophetic circles. An idea that suggests we may be living in what the book of Revelation calls Satan's little season. Not everyone agrees with it. Many people have never even heard of it. But more people are asking the same question. Why now? In this video, we're not here to convince you of anything. We're simply going to look at what this idea is, where it comes from, and why it's being discussed more than ever. More and more people are warming up to the idea that we have been deceived about a lot of things. Some are starting to think we've been deceived about nearly everything, including the very timeline that we've been told we're living in. Today's video presents a neutral overview of arguments commonly used by people who believe we are living in what they call Satan's little season. These arguments are not being promoted or rejected here. They are reported descriptively as they are commonly presented by proponents. This belief framework is primarily rooted in Revelation chapter 20, along with other prophetic passages. All scripture quotations are taken from the Geneva Bible, as that translation is frequently used by advocates of this view. We'll begin with the core scriptural arguments, followed by claims that the historical timeline itself has been altered or obscured. First, proponents point to Revelation chapter 20, which explicitly states that Satan is released for a short time. Revelation 20 verse 3 reads, "And cast him into the bottomless pit, and he shut him up, and sealed the door upon him, that he should deceive the people no more till the 1,000 years were fulfilled. For afterward he must be loosed for a little season." They argue that this little season is occurring now. Second, they argue that Satan's release occurs after the millennium. They claim the millennium has already taken place, either spiritually or symbolically, rather than as a future literal reign. Revelation 20 verse 7 states, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison." Third, they argue that global deception resumes once Satan is loosed. They interpret widespread confusion, ideological division, and false belief systems as evidence of renewed deception. Revelation 20 verse 8 says, "And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, even Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is as the sand of the sea." Fourth, the phrase "deceive the nations" is emphasized. They interpret modern moral, spiritual, and ideological confusion as fulfillment of this description. Revelation 20 verse 3 again notes that Satan deceives the people only after the 1,000 years are fulfilled. Fifth, they argue that truth is widely rejected despite unprecedented access to information. This rejection is viewed as prophetic deception rather than ignorance. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verses 10 and 11 say, "And therefore God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe lies." Sixth, moral inversion is cited as evidence of deception. They point to a growing tendency to redefine good and evil. Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20 reads, "Woe unto them that speak good of evil, and evil of good, which put darkness for light, and light for darkness." Seventh, Satan is described as deceiving the entire world. They argue modern global conditions align with this description. Revelation chapter 12 at verse 9 states, "The great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth all the world." Eighth, rapid global coordination is interpreted as Gog and Magog. Some view modern alliances and international movements as prophetic gathering. Revelation 20 verse 8 refers to nations being gathered together to battle. Ninth, the church is described as spiritually compromised. Proponents argue that widespread complacency aligns with end-time deception. Revelation chapter 3 verses 15 and 16 say, "Because thou art lukewarm, I will spew thee out of my mouth." Tenth, increasing lawlessness is cited. They connect social disorder with Satan's release. Matthew chapter 24 verse 12 states, "And because iniquity shall be increased, the love of many shall be cold." 11th, Satan is called the god of this world. They argue this implies present authority during the little season. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 4 says, "In whom the god of this world hath blinded the minds of the infidels." 12th, widespread spiritual blindness is observed. This blindness is interpreted as active deception. Isaiah chapter 29 verse 10 reads, "For the Lord hath covered you with a spirit of slumber." 13th, the presence of many false Christs and teachings is emphasized. Matthew chapter 24, verse 24 states, "For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets." 14th, the final judgment has not yet occurred. Since judgment follows the little season, they argue the season must still be ongoing. Revelation chapter 20, verse 10 describes Satan's final judgment. 15th, the world is described as lying in wickedness. 1 John chapter 5, verse 19 says, "The whole world lieth in wickedness." 16th, nations are said to rage rather than seek peace. Psalm chapter 2, verse 1 asks, "Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing?" 17th, authority structures are viewed as corrupt. They interpret governance as influenced by unseen powers. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 states, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers." 18th, the gospel is preached worldwide, yet widely rejected. Matthew chapter 24, verse 14 says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached through the whole world." 19th, Satan is said to have great wrath because his time is short. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12 reads, "The devil is come down unto you, which hath great wrath, knowing that he hath but a short time." 20th, the little season is said to end with final deception and judgment. Revelation chapter 20 verse 9 describes the final confrontation. Beyond Scripture, proponents also argue that the historical timeline itself has been altered or obscured. What follows are claims commonly made within that framework. Again, these are reported neutrally. First, they argue calendar systems were changed to obscure prophetic timing. They point to Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. "And he shall think that he may change times and laws." Second, the phrase "change times" is interpreted literally as altering chronology. Third, some claim missing or phantom centuries exist in recorded history. These are said to compress or stretch time. Fourth, they argue the millennium is absent from secular history. Revelation chapter 20 verse 4 speaks of a 1,000-year reign. Fifth, historical records are said to be written by victors. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 11 states, "There is no remembrance of former things." Sixth, ancient texts are said to have been destroyed or rewritten. Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 8 says, "The lying pen of the scribes hath made it vain." Seventh, church councils are accused of reframing eschatology. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3 warns of deception. Eighth, Satan's binding is claimed to be past rather than future. Revelation chapter 20 verse 2 describes Satan being bound. Ninth, time compression is cited. Matthew chapter 24 verse 22 says days would be shortened. 10th, genealogies are used to question modern chronology. Luke chapter 3 verse 23 is often referenced. 11th, symbolic time is said to have been reinterpreted. Numbers chapter 14 verse 34 describes a day for a year principle. 12th, the little season is said to be hidden within recorded history. Revelation chapter 20 verse 3 again mentions the little season. 13th, persecution periods are viewed as evidence of Satan's release. Revelation chapter 12 verse 17 describes war against the saints. 14th, lack of global prophetic awareness is seen as intentional. Matthew chapter 24 verse 42 says, "No one knows the hour." 15th, strong delusion is applied to historical understanding. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 11 says, "God shall send them strong delusion." In summary, these arguments represent interpretive claims made by those who believe the present age corresponds to what they call Satan's little season. These interpretations depend on symbolic, historical, or literal readings of prophecy. Other theological and historical frameworks interpret these same scriptures differently. That's all I have for you today. Please feel free to share your thoughts on this topic in the comment section. All I ask is that you be respectful. Thanks, and may God make his face to shine upon you.